South China Sea continues to be the center of tensions between China and democratic nations as Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen proposed an agreement between democratic countries to take a stand against aggressive actions. Taiwan's leader wants to form a coalition of nations to protect their freedom, in a reference to China's missions in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. China currently claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has applied pressure on Taiwan to also accept its sovereignty. Xi Jinping's regime has been upgrading its military capabilities in order to improve the quality of its missions. The latest upgrade was spotted at a naval aviation regiment base under the People's Liberation Army, CLAP, Southern Theater Command. Ms. Tsai addressed the issue in Taipei at a forum attended by top Taiwanese security officials and senior Western diplomats. The Taiwanese leader said she was committed to improve the country's defensive competence. She said, the rapid militarization of the South China Sea, increasing and frequent gray zone tactics in the Taiwan Strait and East China Sea, coercive diplomacy used against countries and corporations are all destabilizing the Indo-Pacific region. It is time for like-minded countries and democratic friends in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond to discuss a framework to generate sustained and concerted efforts to maintain a strategic order that deters unilateral aggressive actions. Ms. Tsai kept the desire to avoid war at the forefront of her appeal, but invited democracies to work together. China has been mounting pressure on Taiwan to recognize its status as part of China's territory, but Taiwan refused to give in to the push and instead created stronger bonds with other like-minded democracies. Some of those territories include the US, Australia, Britain, Canada, the European Union and Japan. The US is a key ally for Taiwan as it is the island's main arms supplier. During the meeting, Ms. Tsai said the free world needs a strategic order that encourages cooperation, transparency, and problem solving through dialogue, not threats of war. She added that it also needs a strategy that avoids war, yet clearly conveys a resolve to protect our democracies. Ms. Tsai added, divided we fall. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts. Taiwan has joined the US in its rejection of China's territorial claims over the South China Sea. Back in July, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced a formal rebuttal of most of China's maritime claims in the South China Sea. His remarks were considered a further escalation of tensions between the US and China, but he described the move as strengthening US policy. Mr. Pompeo said Beijing's claims to offshore resources across most of the South China Sea are completely unlawful, as is its campaign of bullying to control them. In a statement he added, the world will not allow Beijing to treat the South China Sea as its maritime empire. America stands with our Southeast Asian allies and partners in protecting their sovereign rights to offshore resources, consistent with their rights and obligations under international law. We stand with the international community in defense of freedom of the seas and respect for sovereignty, and reject any push to impose might make right in the South China Sea or the wider region. As tension between the US and China continues to escalate in the Taiwan Strait, the South China Sea and the East China Sea, intense confrontations between Taiwanese and Chinese military aircraft have become the norm. Warplanes from China's People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLAF, have normalized incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone and even begun regularly crossing the Taiwan Strait's median line, significantly increasing the risk of an accident or misjudgment that could spark conflict. The Republic of China Air Forces ROKF interception zone extends 12 nautical miles, 22.2 kilometers, out from Taiwan's coast to the median line. As PLAF aircraft are increasingly flying deeper into the zone, ROKF fighter jets are being forced to scramble and intercept the aircraft at a greater tempo. Within the interception zone, the ROKF monitors aircraft, broadcasts warning messages and chases out intruding enemy aircraft, while surface-to-air missile units are placed on alert. The personnel involved are under tremendous pressure. With the ROKF regularly scrambling jets, there is pressure to keep pilots and fighter jets at a high degree of combat readiness. The ROKUF must adjust the way it responds to Chinese incursions to avoid being driven to exhaustion and slowly defeated through a war of attrition. Most Chinese jets that probe the airspace along the median line take off from air bases on China's southeastern coast, although some are dispatched from bases in central China. Some of the bases fall outside Taiwan's radar range. As the aircraft cross into the strait, ROKUF radar operators can have trouble identifying them, which places further pressure on the Air Force. ROKUF intercept aircraft taking off from Taiwan proper often find that by the time they are within range, the PLAF aircraft have traversed their route and are returning home. The intention is clearly to overwhelm Taiwan's Air Force and push it to breaking point. Another provocation favored by the PLAF is to conduct offensive and defensive drills close to the median line. Fighter jets are initially dispatched to an area of airspace west of the median line to carry out drills and provide cover support. Next, additional aircraft are sent into the air to congregate at predetermined assembly and standby areas and loiter with the aim of harassing ROKUF aircraft in the vicinity. While there, they might also take the opportunity to cross the median line. China is systematically probing the ROKUF's adaptability and reaction times, and there is an urgent need to find a way to nullify this tactic. From a political perspective, if Beijing's use of this model to declare its sovereignty becomes convention, countries could begin to misperceive the strait and nearby areas as Chinese territory. In other words, Chinese military exercises have become political instruments for furthering Beijing's expansionism. While testing the ROKUF emergency response model, combat posture and the adaptability of Taiwan's air defense system in the strait, the PLAF has been collecting and analyzing data, leading to a qualitative shift in its encirclement exercises over the past few years. The detailed picture it has gathered has allowed the PLAF to put in place tactics to increase the pressure. It exploits time gaps in Taiwan's air defense, such as when its fighter jets are forced to return to base to refuel, or during lunchtime to penetrate the median line. The overall goal is to engage the ROKUF in a war of attrition by putting its frontline personnel under enough pressure to force military planners to divert attention and resources from other areas.